The DA believes that the successful candidate in the party's federal Congress could potentially be the country's next president. This as it plans to topple the ANC-led government in the general elections next year. Well, for more on this and preparations, let's cross to our reporter Samkele Maseko at the Gallagher estate in Midrand. Samkele, a very good morning to you. A hive of activity already at the Gallagher estate. Is it all systems go?
It seems as if it's all systems go for the DA's Congress that is sitting here at the Gallagher estate in Midrand. Various delegates are going in to go and register. I'm just seeing Ngababanga from the Eastern Cape, who is one of the contenders. He is going in now. We are also going to go outside. We will see Natasha Mazzoni, who is one of the contenders for one of the positions. You'll see JP Smith, who is an MMC in the city of Cape Town. He is also one of the contenders. He's outside. I've seen various people branded with regalia supporting JP Smith. There are those banners as well supporting the incumbent leader of the DA, John Steenhuisen, who is contesting to come back as the leader of the party against the former executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Mpho Phalatse. But I'm now going to bring in Mr. Greg Krumbock, who is going to speak about the state of readiness for this Congress. Mr. Krumbock, just the state of readiness, how many delegates have registered thus far? How many are short? How is your program coming along thus far?
It's absolutely fantastic, Samkele. As you've seen, the provincial delegations singing their provincial songs as they've arrived. We've had people pouring in here since 5:45 already. At 6:30, we already had 404 delegates registered, over 20% of our delegates in by 6:30. So we believe we're going to have a very, very high attendance. We'll reach quorum long before 8:30 when registration ends. And the excitement and the enthusiasm and the gees at this Congress is something I haven't experienced in 30 years.
When you look at this Congress and the atmosphere around this Congress, it is an atmosphere that was last seen, if one may remember correctly, in the DA's Congress that elected your former leader, Mmusi Maimane, out in East London. Subsequent Congresses, the next one, that his re-election, not so much fanfare. You go on to the election of John Steenhuisen, which was through a hybrid process during COVID-19. This is actually the first physical Congress of the Democratic Alliance since that COVID-19 pandemic. How are your delegates coming along, particularly with what has transpired in the party over the past 3 years?
Well, I think it's a very good question because, as you rightly say, our last in-person Congress was 5 years ago. And just looking at all these people that I remembered from those times, everybody's meeting people they only saw 5 years ago. And that's the wonderful thing about a federal Congress. You get to congregate and meet as a party in person. There's real interaction. So you're right, there was a good atmosphere in 2015 at this very same venue in 2007, the same sense of excitement. But this is really special. It's twice as big as the Congress we had then. This is the biggest ever Congress we've ever had in the Democratic Alliance. And the atmospherics, as I said, I've never experienced something quite like this. There's a real sense that we're going to do something really special this weekend, that we're leading up to a really special election result next year, and you can feel it in the candidates' enthusiasm.
When the Congress finally gets underway and when Mr. Ivan Meyer declares the Congress open, what can South Africans anticipate? What will be the program of the day thus far after the Ivan Meyer has declared it open?
So we will watch the delegates coming in. There's an automatic computer system that automatically updates every single delegate that has registered. We can break it down per province and federally, and we'll know that Congress is quorate by a certain time this morning. So my presiding officers and I, Bridget Masango and Dr. Mimi Gondwe, at 8:57 we will, I'm sure, be able to say this Congress is quorate and we can proceed with the business of the day. Ivan Meyer then, as you correctly say, will formally declare the Congress open, and then we're going to move into an inspiring opening ceremony which has got a lot of very, very popular musicians and acts. That will take us through to the beginning of constitutional amendments. That will continue after lunch. We will have a demonstration of our voting system, and then I will be tossing a coin with my co-presiding officers to see which of our two federal leadership candidates will speak first and address the Congress for 5 minutes each. And that's about mid-afternoon. We will then close out with constitutional amendments again.
When you look at these two contenders for the position of leader of the party, you've had some grievances being raised by the former executive mayor, the contender Mpho Phalatse, against John Steenhuisen. When you look at your voting system, have you ironed out any glitches that may take place that may further fuel some of the contentious issues she's raising?
So, Samkele, the thing about Open Vote is that we've never had glitches to iron out. It's worked perfectly from the first time I used it 3 years ago right through to that federal Congress, to provincial congresses, to caucus elections. So we're very confident that rather than having problems with our open vote system and our voting, this is in fact going to be the Democratic Alliance's finest hour. When we actually do the voting, we're going to have a flawless voting system. Every delegate will be able to vote, and the results will be virtually instantaneous. So I don't think there are any glitches to iron out. If there were glitches, we wouldn't have used this voting system in the first place. I think it's going to go fabulously.
Mr. Krumbock, question on some of your proposals to be deliberated at this Congress. You are looking for a review of the election criteria of the various public representatives and provincial legislatures and also in the National Assembly. What are some of the sticking points that you want this criteria of selecting public representatives in these legislatures and also in the National Assembly to be reviewed? Why?
Well, I don't think the system's working as well as it should. One of the things we are talking about now is having a threshold for representation, because these very small one-person parties tend to be parties that try to find the best deal between the bigger parties. And one of the things that results from that is very unstable coalitions, as we've seen here in your home province of Gauteng. So that's certainly one of the talking points that we're currently looking at. But more importantly, I think as well, is that we're looking at a lot of resolutions which will talk to our economic policies, because we believe, as we've done in the Western Cape and in the municipalities governed, if we can have greater economic opportunity, we can give people a ladder, a step up that ladder of life, and actually bring down unemployment. And so our method to address the inequalities of the past is to raise everybody up. And so for us, economics is very important. That will actually play a large part of our Congress this weekend as well.
So in essence, you are saying that one of the main policy discussions will be around the economic trajectory of the country, particularly looking at how the economy contracted in the last GDP quarter numbers. You also look at the increasing interest rates through inflation. What are some of the key sticking points in those economic policy proposals that you have?
Well, economic policies are not the only things we're going to be discussing. There will be a number of resolutions. But obviously what we want to do when we talk about economics is find ways that will unlock a potential, unlock opportunities, and where there are sticking points or barriers to entry in economic circumstances in life, we want to actually make it easier for people to start businesses, to actually find employment, and to have an economy that works for everybody, not just for a few. So if you want to call them sticking points, that's a good way to look at it. We like to think of those particular things which hinder South Africans from achieving everything they want to be as barriers. And we in the business are breaking down barriers which prevent people from achieving what they want to achieve in life.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krumbock.
Thank you.
Good luck for your Congress that kicks off officially this morning. Just before we can cut, just to show you some of the fanfare that is outside as those delegates are coming in to this Congress enter to go and register as voting delegates. You can see some of these delegates and you've got this particular gentleman. You campaigning for Mr. John Steenhuisen to come back as federal leader. Why?
Yes, because he, for the last few years, he was the one that took us till where we are today. And from here, we can only go forward and make a difference in South Africa. And that is what we want. We want change in this country for everybody, not for certain groups of people.
Yes.
And we want a country when there's opportunities for everybody in our country to move forward, and our country in a whole can go forward, and we can all benefit in what is happening in our country after the DA will take over this country.
Ma'am, why are you supporting Mr. Solimalati and Mr. John Steenhuisen?
John Steenhuisen is a person on the ground with us together. Not when he's in leadership, they forget about us. That is what is John is. John is for us and for the people.
Thank you very much. Those are some of the delegates coming from the Western Cape showing their support for Mr. John Steenhuisen to come.
Yes, John, we love you. Go, John,
So those are some of those delegates going into this Congress showing their support for Mr. John Steenhuisen. Just to show you some of the contenders as well for the positions within the Democratic Alliance before we cut and go back to studio. You can see Mr. J.P. Smith, who is gunning for the position of Deputy Chairperson of the Democratic Alliance, who is an MMC in the city of Cape Town. Mr. J.P., just to get your comments, how's your campaign? How is it going? Are you getting the support of the delegates trickling in now?
Absolutely. If you ask the candidates, they always tell you their campaign is great. But I'm confident. The support has been tremendous. And one of the most interesting things has been calling all these delegates and hearing all the issues and stuff. It actually teaches you a lot in the process.
Thank you, Mr. J.B. Smith. That is Mr. J.B. Smith contesting to be the deputy chairperson of the Democratic Alliance. Earlier on, I saw Natasha Mazzoni also campaigning outside. We've not yet seen flyers and banners of those who support Mpho Phalatse, who is contesting against John Steenhuisen, who will be definitely looking out for the supporters of Mpho Phalatse as well.
Samkele Maseko, thank you so much for that. I was actually going to ask you about, have you seen any of the Dr. Mpho Phalatse, supporters anywhere around you?
At this point in time, we've not yet seen those who support Mpho Phalatse. As we were coming in, we were seeing banners of those popping up, showing their support for Mr. John Steenhuisen, who's contesting to come back as the federal leader of the Democratic Alliance. Those who support Mpho Phalatse, we've not yet seen them. Who are looking for them, who are looking for the banners as well that will be put in and around the vicinity of Gallagher Estate in their support for Mpho Phalatse. That has not yet transpired. We've not yet seen that. We are looking around and I'm not yet seeing them. But as we continue with this rolling coverage of the Democratic Alliance Federal Congress, we will be definitely bringing you the supporters of Mpho Phalatse as well.
Samkele Maseko, thank you so much out there at Gallagher Estate covering the DA's Federal Congress. And remember, you can also catch it live on the SABC Plus app.